Let's check if this mic is working. It should be working. So here's me again near my residence. It's a place called Gandhi Mandap, which has a memorial of Gandhi. A few books here and there, a few replicas, few memories. Yeah, so that's about it. I'm having a smoke at the moment near the place. And I'll be leaving soon, 5 minutes at the max. It's been raining here lately, 3 days to be exact, 3 days of rain, heavy rains. Assam, Guwahati has this scenario where you get a glimpse of the older times where it's supposed to be declared to be a earthquake prone zone or a rain floody zone. To be precise, it has a lot to do with the climatic, the weather, and a lot of stuff, big stuff, industrial stuff. You can put their IoT, you can put their energy, you can put it in there, you can put in there the business of businesses with huge industrial implications, including airspace, radios, and everything. So when it comes to weather and certain things around declaration of a place to be affected by a certain situation, which has to do with unwanted results, such as you would be considering things such as pollution affecting people, affecting work. So these things do get interconnected at certain levels and certain ways. For instance, when we were kids, especially myself, we used to study a lot of books, and those books were, to be precise, they were limited in certain kinds of knowledge and acquisition of those kind of education and knowledge. So limitation of certain knowledge and certain ways of how things grow up to become, you someday you will be considering that things are okay now, and 5 days later those things unconsciously or hidden, unknown stuff, they turn out to become dragons, and they try to haunt you. They kind of become as big as nightmares. So yeah, things happen, but these things happen, and these things do take place at a large scale. So you would be not wrong to consider things like this happening at other places also. For instance, you might have heard of certain things like news. If you watch the news properly and you are good at picking up stuff which are of the current interest from a massive scale, which you can, in a metaphorical way, you could be talking about the eye from the above, and bird's eye or an eagle eye, bird's view to be precise. So yeah, things happen. Pollution, unnatural, you can call it artificial raining, and power systems involve IoTs, radios, and everything. There are effects of large scale. I won't put it to be a word which is, it kind of sounds very classical when you try to preach what has been taught to you in colleges, schools, and your academic circles. So these are the topics which are usually discussed and well appreciated if explained by experts, and someone who's not running his mouth amok but trying to write a few things, understand it himself first. So strictly speaking, these are things which require handprints of someone who is well versed and is willing to work in a technical and research field. He grows along with the subject, they say, right? So you get to grow along with the subject, and for myself, I don't like to bring out a lot of my attention. There are books, lot of books. Even if you go abroad, you study abroad in a good university or could be a school, right? But you end up reading those books which you might also could have read it here. So books are important. books are very important. It all comes down to the passage of knowledge and stuff, that's important. So this is very important stuff, how the things get passed on. Like recently, two news did get my attention. It did get my attention. The recent protest, which is happening in Delhi. Few of my recognizable faces. I know a few guys who went there. Few people I do know them, so they joined into the protest. And as for me, I don't join into what do you call it, anything that's into the realm of herd mentality. I try to stay away from herd mentality, and I get a good glimpse of the situation, which is a glimpse of the situation from afar, you can call it. But at the same time, I get to study a lot of stuff, so it's good for me. It works around. Yeah, you can think of me like a guy in the shadows watching the lit bigger space or ambience, right? So that happens with me, and I do like a lot of stuff. It's around CJP or some party, CJP they call it, and lots of floods in Assam. Flood situation has risen again in Assam. There are a lot of help also being provided. Few food supplies could be better, but there are stuff that gets provided by the army. What's it, NDPRF or NDPRF? No, it's NRPF. Yeah, it's an army. What do you call it? Group in the army, which they provide relief in flood-stricken areas, which are places you can't reach those people or those places by foot. It needs air support and all those kind of stuff. So things do happen. So yeah. For my recent findings, I was working on something that caught my interest. It has to do with this thing around universality. Universality has a good sounding to it. The thing around universality. Processes, universality. These are the key phrases. Processes, universality. And there's this word which is called optics. Processes, universality, and then there's this word called optics or opticals. So what's the difference if things eventually turn out to be the same, right? So it's a funny thought. Optics, universality, opticalism. Opticalism, no, there's no word such as opticalism. Optics, universality, and then you get this thing which is, processes. So things turn out to be same some way or another in that thing. Consider the great inventions or industrial processes or big stuff. Inventions, you can call it, or discoveries. They have a thing around them which is those things do tend to catch the larger domain of the place called Earth. So yeah, so that is something. And speaking of optics, I was reading this thing in Wikipedia. I didn't know this before, but the founder of fiber optics, he's an Indian guy. So he was working in something. So I get a lot of interest in having the opportunity to study a lot of stuff. What was his name? Something. He was a Punjabi Sikh guy. Yeah, his name was Navneet something. I was studying about him or something else. I forgot his name entirely. So he was a Sikh guy studying in the US in research, and he was the creator of fiber optics, which was very interesting for me. Fiber opticals, which we use it every day, which is a strand of hair, which is also similar to a horsehair, which is also similar to a violin bow. So there's a story. I like to think of things in bracketed formats. Bracketed format, which is a type of way which I have devised for myself to adjust to a way of thinking which I like to do. It grants me a great deal of foresight, if you will, bracketed over a scale of time. I like to bracket a few words here and there, few concepts here and there. Like it's like a thing you will hear it, especially amongst Chinese philosophy. It's like a, they call it the empty cup or the empty ball. Yeah, empty ball or the empty cup, where you get to capture a bracketed bracketed thing of interest, or a few things of interest, and you like to, or I like to meddle with it or tinker around with those kind of things, so the output being very interesting in certain factors. Yeah, so strictly speaking, you can or I could speak of those terms, those things, those projects, if we or I, especially me myself, would be from a certain background, or a background of which is research or analytics, could be something like a technical field. But you should always, like I suggest to many, if it's not your background, you shouldn't be speaking about things or quite critical stuff as if you had to put your tongue into every pie, right? That's not the way to go forward. So that's about it. It has stopped raining. It's been 15 minutes or 15 minutes or a few minutes, yeah, since the rain has stopped, and I have been recording this for about 11 minutes 40 seconds to be exact. So this is me, Manas, signing out. Will be possibly someday. Adios.